Greetings and welcome to Talk a Little, Learn a Lot, the American Society of Naval Engineers podcast. I am your host, Stephen Phillips. In this podcast, we talk a little and learn a lot about naval engineering while inspiring the next generation of STEM professionals. Today is another episode on the International Submarine Races held at Naval Surface Warfare Center, Carter Rock. This year, the race will be June 22nd through the 27th. I recommend listening to episode 26, in which I spoke with race director Jerry Rovner. ISR is a human-powered submarine race that was started in 1989. Entrance design, build, and with scuba inside the submarine become the means of propulsion and maneuvering. I am an alumnus of this race, having competed in the second ISR in 1991 as the horsepower for the U.S. Naval Academy submarine with a paddle wheel propulsion system dubbed Subdue. There was another competitor at the second ISR, a high schooler named Stephen Barton, with his entry Sublime. Race rules at the time would not allow Stephen to race since he was a minor. But Stephen's energy and enthusiasm was palpable. Jerry decided thereafter, if someone was scuba qualified, they could serve as a propulsor or driver for an ISR boat and race. Sadly, Stephen Barton passed away in 1995. Since he exemplified the core meaning of what it is to be an ISR competitor, the ISR named the Spirit of the Races Award in his honor. This accolade recognizes overall spirit, gusto, fortitude, and support of the other teams. And the winner is selected by the submarine teams, the competitors themselves. Today, I'm joined by Stephen's father, who has the same name, so I'll refer to him with the shorter version of Steve, and his grandson, Stephen's nephew, Scott Johnson, who will compete in ISR 18. Steve, Scott, thank you for joining me on the podcast. I look forward to our discussion.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you. We look forward to this.
Right on. Well, how about if I ask each of you to introduce yourselves to the podcast listeners briefly?
Okay, my name is Stephen Barton, and I attended ISR 1 in 1989 and have been involved in this contest as a judge, contestant, and in operations ever since. I earned a bachelor's degree in automotive engineering and worked for Ford Motor Company and General Motors before becoming a licensed general contractor in Florida. I have a 100-ton Coast Guard license and a private pilot license. When I was 11, I built a small sailboat with my father and have been building boats for my own pleasure ever since. My father encouraged me to try new things and think outside the box.
Right on. And Scott?
My name is Scott Johnson, and I am a homeschool high schooler from Ketchikan, Alaska. I've grown up with listening to stories of my grandfather and my mother race in these submarines, and I decided that now that I'm this age, I would like to build and race my own sub.
Steve, how did your son Stephen first become interested in the International Submarine Races?
Well, it was just sort of luck. We were down visiting friends in Jupiter, and we saw an article in the newspaper. And, like, what is this submarine race down in Riviera Beach? So we went down to see it, and there was a lot of subs there, mostly from corporations and universities. And we met a Dr. McAllister, and he was from Florida Atlantic University, and he encouraged us to get involved. So we went down later and talked to him, and he said, you should build a sub because we need young people to get involved in this, not wait until they're in college. So all the way home, my son said, we're going to build a submarine. It was sort of like, oh my God, we're going against, corporations, universities, and we're going to do this ourselves in the garage. So we did it, and it encouraged interest long before the college age for a lot of young young high school kids.
Well, let's unpack that in more detail. Can you talk about Steve designing and building that first boat?
Well, he designed it. We did a lot of research, hydrodynamic books, and several, and depended on history. So what happened is he took cedar strips and built them over a form, uh, glassed the outside of it, and climbed inside and fiberglass, which was the fumes were terrible. We had to have a fan on, and glassed the inside, and basically built that. That was how he built the hull. And then he decided from World War II to have two propeller shafts, counter rotating. So that was figured out with right angle gearboxes to attach to a pedal crank mechanism. And that's how it came out. In building his boat, he won the Design Innovation Design Award for his vortex generators. But not only that, during the last 3 years, he entered his submarine in the science fair, and he won the International Science Fair Engineering Award for the year. And not only did he get the accolades of it, but they took him out to Top Gun school, and he did an amphibious landing with the Navy SEALs. So it really came out good, and we'll always have that trophy.
Wow, what a cool memory. Now, Steve was unable to compete due to the race rules at that time. So who was the propulsor and the navigator, or the person who steered the boat for that first race?
Well, the first person to drive our sub was one of my friends, Frank Santo, experienced sailor and friends for years, and a former high school student from my wife's school. I was smart enough not to get in there. And what happened was we went down to the races with the submarine, and since Stephen couldn't run, after the third or fourth race, the high school student had an ear squeeze, and we didn't really know what to do about that right away. And along came a reporter from Skin Diver magazine, and he said, "Boy, I'm interested in this." And I said, "I was looking for a propulsor," so I said, "Get in the sub." And he was in very good shape and everything, so he got in the sub. And when he did, we closed him in, and the race down back then was 800 meters, a lot different, lot longer, and more exhausting. Well, we went around the course twice, 400 meters each time, made the whole course, but when he came to the surface, he was so exhausted, we had to get people to lift him out of the sub. He said, "I never worked so hard in my life." So it was really entertaining to, this was no easy physical happening.
Indeed, I can tell you from firsthand experience for sure. So, as I mentioned, Stephen is now honored by the Spirit of the Race Award. It's clear that he is remembered fondly by everyone associated with the race. Do you have any thoughts on this award?
Well, it's a hard one for us. We're greatly honored by this, and his memory lives on.
Yeah,
We hope
indeed.
this competition can go to a lot of high school students in the future.
Stephen's spirit also continues in his team's participation in the race. You've been mentoring Sublime, a team formed by high schoolers from Hernando County schools in Florida, racing in 10 of the 17 races to date. Can you talk about the goal for these students? It's more about just racing the boats, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. The race is just the final start of it. Our students, my students, when I was a teacher there, took on it's a serious amount of time you have to put into it. It's not just a 1 week, 1 month thing. It's about a 2-year project. Stephen gained a lot of experience building hands-on things, as well as knowledge of tools, wide range of skills, how to problem solve, and tenacity. All through these 14 years, this is what we wanted to install in students, and of course, build an interest in engineering.
Now, while there's more to the ISR than just the race, the competition is clearly the driver. I've also noticed that Sublime has won the overall competition for, was it the 10th ISR in 2009, and then the overall speed award for the 14th ISR in 2017. What do you remember about the 2009 event?
Basically, at the 2009 event, they made a new rubric, and the rubric took like 20 different things and they put it in a computer and they evaluated all these different categories to come out with the overall award. Sublime was fairly consistent and had a lot of completions, and this was rewarded. We finished a lot of runs, but luck was with us, and one of the final thing was showmanship. Well, we brought along a couple of our very attractive girls, and they brought mermaid suits, and we put them in the water on Wednesday, which is the bigwigs day, that everybody, and the Navy divers were fighting for which one could take them and swim around the thing and bring them out of the pool. Well, it was a big hit with the judges too, and I think that helped us a little bit get over the hump and put us ahead.
What was the key to success in the 14th ISR?
We always had a rule that all of our, and we've had teams with up to 25, 30, 40 people come to the race, and anybody who worked on the race was welcome to pilot our sub. This meant that instead of running one pilot, especially at the start of the races, we'd be a new pilot every run, which is good for them. They love the experience. A few of them will never forget it because some things happen. We'll go into that later. But we also have several students that were all the way back already in college and stuff, and they came back to race with us. So if you had one of our students has been to 4 races and he's talented and he goes down that line like he's taking a shot down the street, and that makes a lot of difference because steering is really critical in this. Curtis Weaver, this student, he's a commercial aircraft pilot now, but we're hoping he's going to come back for his last run because he can steer that boat like crazy.
Are there other Sublime entries or races that are memorable?
Well, there's some that we're really really happy with, and there's some that we didn't go like we expected. One of the things that didn't quite come out the way we thought was Sub-Zero, one of our 2-man sub, was going down the basin and one of the races, and it got a little too close to the bottom, and they picked up the light system that goes down the middle of the basin. Well, the guy in the back didn't know what was going on, so he just kept on pedaling, reeling up all the lights down the thing until all of a sudden one big flash of lights, and we shut down the whole basin, and the whole place was in the dark for 2 hours. Needless to say, they were a little peeved at us, and they besides tell us we weren't going to race until the last submarine of the whole thing, in case we decided to ruin their lighting system and darken this mile-long building. And they gave us a special award for the most destructive submarine on record.
Well, that one is certainly memorable.
Let's see. Nicole, my daughter, kept us engaged in racing in 1997 when things went bad with my son. And we had one of my students from school, we had a little incident, and they at the starting line, when they said Sublime, 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 the 2 guys that are holding the sub on the bottom, he was a little hyped up, and on the first Sublime, he let go of the sub, and I was in the front, and the sub started sinking in the back. And the second Sublime, about a half a second later, he realized it, and when he went back in, the third Sublime, of course, the pilot hit it, and the propeller came around and hit on his tank. Well, thank God it hit on the tank, and the sub went plump, 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 and stopped because it stripped. When we opened it up, all the gears were stripped right out of it. French Canadian team said this is hopeless. So, but luckily, my principal from my school, who attends all the races, stepped right up and said, "Have one flown in tomorrow." Well, we called her. We put up put up the money, and she paid for it later. And we flew it in by 10 o'clock the next day. We were back in operations, and on Wednesday we had a thing because we were happened to be in first place at the time, and we were at this reception thing after the race, and one of the admirals said, "What happened to your sub?" I said, "Well, you know, we're going to be in the race tomorrow or today because my principal stepped up." So he walked over and he grabbed onto her with another admiral, and he said, "You're really good for this country. Thank you."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
after that, I took her, put a picture in front of the school board, and as far as money, I had a free check from them on.
Right on. I like stories like that, and that is indeed part of the whole thing about this race. It's a can-do attitude. It's about learning. It's about accepting that you have mistakes and then moving on from them. It's
One
part
more
of what I
thing.
like about ISR. Sure, go ahead, Steve.
The next one was we had one of the astronauts, since we were in first place, came out and gave us a sticker that she had taken to space, and it's still on the sub right now. We're really honored by that. We lost parts from some of our submarines on the bottom. Like I said, things weren't always beautiful. And when the Navy divers retrieved them, they held them ransom for, let's say, some cases of beer. It's sort of. But one thing I did want to mention, at the second race, when we were with our sub, up came a guy who was president of General Dynamics Electric Boat Division. And he said, "I'd like you to come to Groton to see us launch the Springfield." So we went. It was quite an experience. I just can't tell you what it was like. But they arranged to have several. I said, "Could we come a day ahead of time and have a couple of your engineers help us?" Well, he had the whole PhD engineering team for the country there, advising us how to build our sub a little bit better. But the neatest part was at the actual launching time. They said, "You want to be up on the grandstand with all the big wigs and the admirals and everything, or do you want to go underneath?" And I said, "We're going to go underneath." So we get down underneath the sub, and the sub's right in front of you, about 2 feet from your nose, and they had 100 people there, 100 guys with sledgehammers, and they hit all these blocks. And 1 minute it was there, and the next minute, whoosh, it was gone. It was really something to see. I mean, it was like a breeze going by, and the band playing everything. It was quite an event.
I bet. I wish I could have seen that. I'm jealous. Now, a new generation of Bartons will be participating in the International Submarine Races, as you and your grandson, Scott, who we introduced earlier, are going to be entering the race this year. So, Scott, are you excited to compete?
Yes, I'm very excited to build and compete my own submarine.
Please tell me about your journey to become a race participant. What steps have you taken to prepare?
Well, I've been listening to stories from my grandfather and from my parents about building and racing submarines, and then once I got to this age, I figured it would be fun for me to build my own and race it. I've been an avid woodworker and boat builder all my life. Me and my family have also been sailing for over 10 years now. And during that, I've got scuba certified in deep water ocean, which for, these two hobbies of mine to come together into one race, it's a dream come true.
What have you learned through the process of creating your submarine?
Well, I've learned that it's a lot harder than you think to do. it's not a week or a month long build. It's everything you got for 2 years to create this machine. You also have to learn a lot about hydrodynamics, propeller shapes, and especially about ours, electricity as well.
Scott, can you tell us a little bit about the design of your submarine?
Yeah, so this sub has three new features that haven't been added to any submarine. That is electric propulsion, toroidal propeller, and thrust vectoring. The electric propulsion is it takes the gearbox and hooks it, instead of to a propeller shaft, it hooks it to a generator, which then powers an electric motor to turn the propeller. The toroidal prop is supposed to be a more efficient propeller, but we also have backups in case it's not. And then the last thing, thrust vectoring, it for steering, it will be an interesting new idea to explore due to the possibility of not having fins, but just the motor turning the boat.
Well, that is going to be interesting to see for sure. Do you have advice that you would like to give to those who may want to participate in the race in the future?
The main key is to start early. If you have more head time, it's incredibly helpful to do it. Another thing I do suggest is find people with experience. I'm lucky because I have my grandfather here that's been doing it for forever. So, and also your design will change many times over the course of this. We have designed and even built quite a few propulsion mechanisms that have not worked as well as we hoped. So we went back to the drawing board and rebuilt those.
Scott, I'm interested. What are your plans after high school? Do you intend to continue to study like naval engineering or marine engineering, or is there another passion that you have?
My plan is to go into a merchant maritime academy, and work my way up to become a coastal pilot, which both my father and his father have both done. In the merchant maritime academies, there is also engineering classes, which I'm planning to take a couple of those, but it depends how much I like them and enjoy them.
Steve, let me ask you the question that I just asked Scott. What advice would you give others who are interested in the International Submarine Races?
Well, I want to warn them, it's a serious commitment. It's not a thing you can do in a day. It takes about at least a year and a half of steady work and building. I usually think of it, from the first one you build, you rebuild it about 3 or 4 times till you get to something you're happy with and it works. Scott was, when we were working on a sub, he said, I just couldn't believe how hard this was. It's tremendous reward to create something like this, and you'll be remembering this for your whole life. That's all there is to it.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the Talk a Little, Learn a Lot audience?
Well, one thing I learned is, when you're building a sub, you can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it. And don't be afraid to fail. That's the main part. You have to try again and again, and adapt your plan and strategy to figure out what works.
For me, I want to say step up, join us. It's a lot of fun. Run again against us in 2027. We're looking for it, for some competition, and we have a couple spare subs that have looking for a team to take them over. They're definitely competitive, and I think you can have a great time doing it.
Fantastic. Well, then thank you. Steve Barton and Scott Johnson, for taking this time to talk to us about the International Submarine Races, your team, Team Sublime, and the Spirit of the Races Award named for Stephen Barton. I hope that we can welcome you back again sometime to Talk a Little, Learn a Lot, the podcast of the American Society of Naval Engineers.